So we're at the top of the hour, so we'll get things going, and other people will be joining as we go. My colleague is here with me. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jason Camelio. I'm from the Office of Global Initiatives at Berklee. Joining me is my colleague, the Associate Director, Amanda Goldthorpe. Hey, Amanda. Thanks for getting up. She's out on the West Coast of the United States, so this is early for her, but we're super happy that she's here joining us. And this is our first 2022 edition of Global Connections. This is a series that we've been running now for over a year with our global partners and all of the amazing people that Berklee works with around the world. And we're super happy to be joined by our friends, our dear partners at the Nakas Conservatory in Athens, Greece. It is a Zoom session, so Zoom rules apply. If you could, during the initial part of this, if you could just keep yourself muted while we're working and talking and interviewing our artists, that'd be great. We are recording this session so that if you'd like to go back and check out any part of it later, you can. And also, you can share it with your friends, your students who might be joining the session or who might have missed the session and want to check it out later. And the place where you can actually get it is, I'm going to throw the link here in the chat. You're going to want to bookmark this. This is actually a resource page for all of the students who attend our Berklee Global Academic Partner Schools. And the Philippos Nakas Conservatory is one of the founding members of our global partnerships. We've been working with you for over 30 years. It's incredible to consider that all the amazing students who have come to Berklee from the Nakas Conservatory, which is a renowned institute of contemporary music as well as classical music and Greek traditional music. And my colleague that's joining me today will be able to share more details as well. It is the first place actually that Berklee did study abroad. It's the first place that we actually sent students from Boston to do a study abroad program. And obviously, being able to go to Athens, Greece and study the music and the culture and enjoy the amazing food. And the atmosphere there was hugely beneficial to many, many students at Berklee. What I'd like to do is I want to introduce my dear friend and colleague. He's an amazing artist, bassist, educator. He has actually done so much incredible work performing with amazing artists like Lou Donaldson, Peter Bernstein, playing at festivals all around the world on different continents, from Europe to Asia to the Americas. And he's I think the proper title is Artistic Director at the Nakas Conservatory in the Contemporary Music Program. Please allow me to introduce Kostas Konstantinou. Kostas, take it away, sir.
Good evening. I'm very happy to participate in this meeting, and we feel very happy and very good about this collaboration with Berklee College of Music, who is probably the greatest institute to study music in the whole world. I'm sure that everyone else will, from Anastasia, Vasilis and Kostas, will agree with me. The years that we studied there, it was amazing, great experiences, learning, having jam sessions every day. There's so many good stuff to remember about that. So I would like to introduce some of the guys that are here. Also, probably I should start with Thanasis Dedes, who's here from the school. Yes, and he's in charge of concerts and stuff with registrations and this kind of thing. Thanasis is one of the pillars of Philippos Nakas Music School. Any questions about the curriculums and stuff like that, he's the man to ask about Nakas. And also we have Anastasia Charakidou. I will begin with the lady of our company, because this is, I think, appropriate, who's an excellent singer, songwriter. She has kicked off her career recently. She was a student at Nakas and Berklee, graduated. Amazing artist. Also, Vasilis Kostas, the exceptionally, how I say lauto in English, Vasili?
Lauto or lute?
Lute. He's a great lute player. Not many people know that before he got the scholarship, he was a killer guitar player. That I had the luck or the great moment in his audition for the Berklee scholarship. We played some Wes Montgomery songs, and he was killing. He was amazing, and he can do that. And he can also he also dug into traditional music, collaborations with Lucas Halkias and many artists in the Massachusetts area and probably US. Great player, great guy. We performed like a year ago, 2 years ago at Nakas. It was very nice and fun. And the last of our company is Kostas Milonas, who is a killer drummer. I remember Kostas, we had a session like some years ago recording Greek music. He's an amazing drummer and I think focuses more on rock metal sound, but also can, of course, play other stuff and Greek music and commercial music and so on.
For sure.
So I likewise, man. So I don't know what else, Jason or Thanasis, you want me to say, or
Well, I think it would be great, for each of the artists that are here, we're going to obviously dig into all of the amazing work that you're doing. But please, in the chat, if you could put in any social media links so that the other students and artists are here, if they want to learn more about you, they can follow you. I added a couple of the websites as well for Dolleesi and for Kostas, for Vasilis Kostas. But please, I really encourage everybody here, learn about these artists. These are people you want to know. The experiences that they've had are really important for you to consider. And that actually leads us to this, the first question that I have for all of you that might kind of resonate with the people that are in the audience here. And what I'm hoping is that each of you might share a little bit of a story of, do you remember the moment when you decided that you needed to do music, that music was going to be the thing that you were going to do, you were just going to completely focus on that? Anastasia, do you want to jump in? Do you remember that moment in your life where it dawned on you like, this is it, I'm doing music?
Yes. Actually, that happened in a really young age. When I was 10, I just realized that singing is my passion and that's what makes me happy. And I just couldn't picture myself without just doing that. And I just wanted to be a professional singer and I just wanted to do that right away.
So now what was it that influenced you? Was there a family member that did music? Were you singing at church? Did you sing at school? What was it that lit the fire?
Yeah, actually, no, I'm the only one in my family that doing music. It was a teacher of mine that told my parents that your kid has she needs to do music. I can hear her voice really clean, really nice. And then I remember my mom brought me in a voice lesson, and it just happened. It was like, I don't know, I just felt it and it just happened and I had it in me, I guess. It was meant to be. And I was just so excited. I was so excited and I was really young, but
Sure.
I knew what I wanted to do. So yeah.
And Vasilis, do you remember what it was, what was that moment for you when you realized like, music is going to be the thing I'm doing and all those other things became less important?
First of all, great to be here. Thank you, Jason, for the introduction, and Costa, thank you so much. I also, you know how I feel about all of you and how grateful I am to be here. It's an honor to share this online Zoom with you. And thank you everyone for joining. I remember, same like Anastasia, I was the only person in my family who became a musician. So when I realized that music was my only path, this is how I felt. I was around 16 years old, and somehow I heard about Berklee. And my whole family wanted me to become a professor of Greek language in the Greek educational system in Greece. And I said to my father, I want to study at Berklee. And he said, you can do whatever you want. This was his answer. So at the age of 18 years old, I went to Thessaloniki to study philosophy and pedagogy, but at the same time I registered at the Philippos Nakas Conservatory. And all the guitar instructors, as Kostas said, I was playing guitar before, were Berklee alumni. And in every lesson, we're talking about what a blessing, what a miracle is to study in Boston, basically at Berklee. And then immediately I knew that Berklee was the bridge for me to achieve my goals in music. And of course, we'll talk later about that. Right. Thank God I was studying at Philippos Nakas, and I got tremendous help and support from my teachers, Vasilis Kostas in Athens during the audition process, receiving an additional scholarship that is set up between Berklee and Philippos Nakas. And I don't think there could be a better way to or another way to make this happen. I feel very, very grateful for this journey.
Well, I'll tell you, and we'll dig into this a little bit more, but, thank you for those kind words. But the work that you've done after coming to Berklee and since being a student at Berklee has been incredible. And the number of people that you've been able to influence and support. So we'll dig into that more as we get into the questions. But that's interesting. So you were late. You were in high school, maybe looking at a whole different pathway, and suddenly Berklee caught your eye and you're like, I'm going that way. That's really incredible turn of events. It completely changed the trajectory of your career.
Basically, suddenly I heard Wes Montgomery and Keith Jarrett. This is how I knew.
That was the switch. All right, got it. Kostas Milonas, you're sitting in your drum studio, ready for your next lesson or to record something. But do you remember what it was that ignited things for you?
Yeah, for sure. I just want to say hello to everybody that's watching us. And my first, I had my uncle and my grandfather. My mother's family were a musical family. So I grew up hitting drums in my uncle's studio. So I don't remember exactly the age that I started playing drums. But the only thing I remember is that from the first time that I sat in a drum kit, I said, I want to play drums, and this is my thing. I want to do my best to be able to play with people and try to study music, not only drums. And here I am.
Yeah, so that's an interesting thing you bring up. So you were playing drums at a young age, but you realized that being a musician was broader.
Yeah.
It was more
for sure.
than.
Yep, for sure.
Okay, and that's really interesting to hear. Kostas Konstantinou, leaving you last, sir. What was it, man? What was the moment for you? And was it bass or?
No, actually it wasn't bass.
Okay.
I remember when I was 15 years old that I was walking the streets of Komotini, which is my hometown, that I was born and grew up. And for some reason, I was with some people that we went into this youth union or something like that. In Greek, it's called Philippos Nakas, something like that. And there were musical instruments there. And there was a band rehearsing. And they said, the singer is not here. Can you sing for us something? And I say, okay, I was listening to rock music at the time. So, yes, I began as a singer, actually. I played in a lot of metal bands when I was younger, up to for the whole high school. And then in the meantime, I had some piano lessons, I had some classical guitar lessons, but this didn't work out very well. And at some point, I decided to pick up the bass, just for fun. So I bought up the bass, the electric bass in the beginning. I was walking home and I ran into this great friend of mine, guitar player, and he tells me that the club that we play doesn't have a bass player. You want a steady gig? It was like a 6-night gig per week. And everything, then I moved to Athens. I went to study to Nakas. I was exposed to Miles Davis. Then I got to Berklee. I was exposed to the fabulous bass of Mr. Wick Brown.
Right.
And
Wow.
that was it.
That's incredible. So you had a little journey. You had to find the bass. It wasn't the first thing.
Yes, it wasn't. And it was hard because I wasn't really into fusion music so much. But when my first instructor, my bass instructor, Giorgos Ikogiannis, was a great educator and teacher at Nakas there, he was teaching bass. He gave me a mixtape with Miles Davis and Bill Evans and this kind of thing. And I was shocked. I was, wow, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to play. So the one thing led to another, and he told me to, yes.
Yeah, no, this is great to hear. It's really interesting because each of you touched on this in your that inspiration led to this desire to really kind of study music formally, and each of you comes from a different part of Greece. Not all of you are from Athens. You come from all over the country, and it's really interesting that all of you found the Nakas Conservatory to be the place to go. And then from there, you end up coming to Boston to be at the Boston campus at Berklee. But maybe Kostas Milonas, because you talked a little bit about being a total musician as a drummer. Could you talk a little bit about why you decided to go to school and then at Nakas? What was it about Nakas that kind of worked well for you? How did it help you with your skills building to be a professional musician?
Yeah, I was already a professional musician. Thanasis knows my story a bit, and this is a chance to thank all my professors at Nakas because they changed my mind, they changed my whole life. That's why I'm doing what I do right now, especially Elias Doumanis, my professor. I didn't know him before I came to Nakas, and from the first day I met this guy. He changed everything, so I want to thank Elias Doumanis. The thing here in Greece, is that if you want to play music, you can start practicing. You can meet people. You can create your. You can make your own band. You can create your own music, and then you can start working if you want, like professionally, in the nightclubs. So I was able to play in nightclubs since I was 10 years old. So I do live music for a living many years now. So then I was buying every month the Modern Drummer magazine, and many drummers, many Berklee alumni, many Berklee professors was in the magazine. So I was dreaming to be a part of Berklee College of Music myself, so there wasn't another way for a guy like me who was trying to make a living and make some music and trying to practice and start digging for new stuff, to only do drums. So I searched online that Nakas School was the first Bean School for Berklee, and I did the audition at the first time. I think it was in 2008.
Right.
And then, I did the first 2 years at Nakas, so I had the chance. You can learn so much thing because the professors are Berklee alumni. You can learn the same things like you do at Berklee. Every professor from theory, harmony, whatever you want to learn, they know what you need as a student to be prepared to study at Berklee. So I started there, and then I took my scholarships and went to Boston.
That's great. Okay, so this is something where the program at Nakas it's relevant. It's training you for the industry, and
For
it's
sure.
preparing
Yeah,
you
yeah.
for Berklee, and you're able to take advantage of the credit transfer agreement.
Mhm.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to put the link to the credit transfer agreement in the chat so you can bookmark it. But what Kostas is talking about is within the music program, the contemporary music program at Nakas, it aligns exactly with the first 4 semesters of the study in Boston. And actually, even more so, there's more classes that you can take advantage of at Nakas because the curriculum is so broad and robust. But if you complete this program and you get accepted to Berklee, you can transfer all that credit when you come to Boston.
That's a big deal for students, international
Yeah.
students, for sure.
You just, ladies and gentlemen, so you know, like 1 semester cost for classes at Berklee is $23,000 US.
Yeah, that's
You're getting
huge.
4 semesters when you take the program at Nakas and you transfer in as an upper semester student at Berklee in Boston. So the training, all of these artists that we're talking to were scholarship students at Berklee. The potential for you to get scholarship because of the training that you receive and the preparation, and you transfer all that credit in. It's really a huge lift. It advances you so that your potential, as we'll learn more from the artists here, is you're really pushing yourself forward. Anastasia, as a vocalist, the largest, ladies and gentlemen, the largest instrumental population at Berklee is vocalists. So as a vocalist coming from a big vocal tradition in Greece, coming to a big community of vocalists here in Boston, how was it for you studying at Nakas and then coming to Berklee as a vocalist? What was that experience like for you, and do you feel that you were able to benefit from the training you received at Nakas and then what you got here in Boston?
Yes. First of all, the experience was amazing. I will repeat that the years at Berklee and at Nakas, they was the best years of my life. And I'm 24, but I still remember. And so, I can start. My journey started when I was 17. I moved to Athens while I was at school. And I'm so thankful for my family because they did everything for me. And I was really young, so that was a big step for me. I had great professors at Nakas. I'm really thankful. One of them was Kostas Konstantinou, and I just learned so many things. I was classical trained, and I just went to the I just did jazz harmony. I just started singing in jazz, and I learned many things. I had one of the best vocal teachers in my life was at Philippos Nakas. Unfortunately, she passed away. She taught me everything, and she gave me the best technique I could ever ask for. Like, it was great. I went at Berklee, and the professors at Berklee were asking me, how did you get that technique? What happened? And I was like, it was my teacher. So I was really thankful. I learned different things at Berklee, of course, but I had the right tools to start. And so I moved to Berklee when I was 19, and I transfer actually a lot of credit. So I think Philippos Nakas is one of the, it's really important if you want to study at Berklee. I think it helped me a lot in many different ways. So I was able to transfer 60 credits, and I also test out many classes like counterpoint. And that's another thing, because like I said, I was classical trained. So I used to do counterpoint, and I just tested out that class right there. Yes, I don't know if I answered the question. I just said so many things.
No, no, it's great.
Conversation.
This is wonderful. And did you, you know, did studying at Nakas and then coming to Berkeley, did it change what you wanted to do as an artist? Did you find that some of the teachers influenced you into going into different areas musically?
Yes, definitely. I did different styles that I've never thought about it. I did Motown, and that was amazing.
Cool.
I was in a Motown ensemble. I learned many different styles, and I just couldn't picture myself singing that type of style. I had a great professor that believed in me that time. Larry Watson was amazing. He's one of
Yeah.
my mentors.
Yep.
And I also studied songwriting major. I did dual major. So that was another path. I was not able to do that at Philippos Nakas. So to be able to see different majors and to do different things, that's another thing. I'm really thankful I did songwriting, because I'm now able to write my own music, and it helped me a lot. Yes.
Wonderful. That's great to hear. So you branched out, you were able to dig into more things and took
Yes.
advantage of the experience. Vasilis Kostas, your experience is really dynamic. In this group, you're unique because, in addition to, you know, your musical track changing over time, being a student at Nakas, being a student at Berkeley, you also did the Global Jazz Masters. And I was hoping that you could talk a little bit, because where you are now is you're leading a very, very unique experience with your artistry. You're part of the Global Messengers with Danilo Perez, the renowned award-winning pianist and composer and educator. And could you talk a little bit about your track and how it changed from being a guitarist to immersing yourself in the Greek traditional music and then blending that with the contemporary music world in really kind of like moving forward with a unique artistic pathway.
Wow, from where to start?
I know,
Uh,
right? This is a
okay.
big piece to chew on. Sure.
First of all, Jason and everyone, I couldn't ever imagine the stage in my life or my musical career that I'm now, because I went to Berkeley to study jazz guitar. This was my main passion. Wes Montgomery, Kenny Barrell, this was my main passion. And at the end of the first year of studies at Berkeley, the college sent me and another two musicians to Madrid uh, through the Berkeley Mediterranean Music Institute to present Greek traditional music. And I thought, I can't present Greek traditional music by playing only guitar. And because I'm from the northwestern part of Greece, which is called Epirus, for those who are abroad now, we have a very rich and strong musical tradition. So I thought that 2 weeks before this trip in Madrid, I could pick a traditional instrument and started practicing and see what I can develop if this makes sense to me. So I picked the lauto, which is a very traditional instrument in our musical culture in Epirus. And I saw that clarinet lines and violin vocabulary, even singing vocabulary, has an application on my instrument, which is mainly an accompanying instrument. We use it mainly to play harmony, rhythm, etc. So I went to Madrid, I played whatever I could, and I was very lucky for this experience because in the audience, Jose Merced and Pepe Habituela, two legendary flamenco figures, were there like 2 meters far from me, and Jose Merced said, "Kid, just follow the lauto path. Just stop with the guitar. Lauto is your future." And at that moment, I realized that lauto, my identity, is the future. And I was afraid at the same time because I returned back to Boston for the second year of studies. And I was wondering if Berklee would accept me with a different instrument because I had the scholarship on the guitar. So not only Berklee accepted me, but they encouraged me. As we know, we've made many conversations about it. They encouraged me, all of my professors, you as well, and to continue this path. So I started taking all the ensembles courses, all the private instructions with the lauto, trying to explore my own identity, my own musical roots from Epirus, but also to see how creatively musical tools from the jazz world, if they have an application on my instrument and in my vocabulary. Then I attended the Global Jazz Institute Master's Program with Danilo Perez, which was a life-changing experience to study next to jazz masters like George Garzon, John Patitucci, Joe Lovano, Danilo Perez, Terry Lynn Carrington. And then Danilo called me and two other members at his house once. We thought we did something wrong, basically. So we went to his house very, very shy, and he said, I want to form a new group, and I would like you to be part of this. And of course, we were shocked because we never expected this. And this is how the next steps for me started. New challenges and new steps for my career also. And I want to say to everyone that is here today that slowly I realized at Berklee that this specific college, because prior to Berklee I was researching, to study music in different colleges in different countries. But Berklee, I think, is unique because it can be a place for anyone. And the artistic direction that starts from all the professors, all the administration people, is that we want you to bring who you are at the college and contribute to our community. And we want you to explore yourself and what you could do. No one told me at Berklee, you need to be a bebop player on the guitar, or you should practice this, you should practice this. It was a constant exploration. And when I asked Danilo once, Danilo, you play some colors on the piano that I can't understand. What can I practice? Do you have any books? He said, we'll just play together and we'll figure it out together. I want to figure out your stuff, like the Greek tetrachords and pentachords in the Greek traditional music.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
these kind of experiences, I never imagined this kind of steps in my musical career before I attended Berklee. And
Yeah.
I want to say that even, I don't know if we have traditional musicians here, that Berklee is also a place for Greek traditional musicians who want to take their musical roots one step further, to explore them deeper, because we have such a rich musical tradition in Greece, and different parts of Greece have different musical cultures completely. So Berklee can be a place for everyone.
Yeah, and actually, we need that because it informs the creativity of what our teachers and students do. Ladies and gentlemen, Berklee is a very diverse place. We have, Berklee, and we have the Boston Conservatory at Berklee here in Boston. We have our campus in Valencia, Spain. We have our new campus in New York City. And we also, as Kostas Milonas knows, he's teaching at the Berklee Abu Dhabi Center right now. So we've got, and then out on top of that, all of our global partners. We have this very, very expansive network. And what that feeds into is when you come onto the Berklee campus at any of these locations, you will find people from literally all over the planet. And the one thing that connects everybody, actually there's two things that connect everybody that I see. One is the willingness for people to share and to be open to sharing. Here's something that I do, show me what you do. And in Vasilis, you talked about this. Danilo's looking at you saying, I need to get some of that. Show me some of that. But at the same time, the willingness for people to share their culture, to share their music, and to just take musical and creative chances. And those things end up springing into very interesting relationships that you network into that turn into not only creative opportunities, but also constructive, meaningful career opportunities that I think maybe Kostas Konstantinou, you could talk about this because of your background as a bassist. You've played with so many different artists. Can you talk about networking and how you network and how that's maybe been connected to your learning experience as a student and then as a professional? How did Berklee and Nakas help you expand your network?
How got Berklee and Nakas? Well, to be honest with you, Berklee, because I was in the States and then I moved back to Athens, all of my fellow students were, and the people that I played with were Americans. So when I got back here, I was a little bit isolated by this crowd. But I think it's if you practice and you are serious and you start like you are being punctual, you're always on time, and you start building like a strong positive professional attitude, then at least at my case, people just call me. So because even now, for example, I don't have I'm almost the same, but not really, but I don't have a website, or I don't have my YouTube channel. So yes, but I have some albums out. I play in some albums, and I have fun playing music and teaching. So I don't know. And also I'm older, so this is another factor for me, and lazy in that kind of thing. I'm not lazy in practicing. I'm lazy in trying to put all this stuff out there and so on. But I would like to stress that it's mind blowing actually, the stuff that you get and that people are willing to share with you and help you. This happened to me twice, as I told earlier, and I would also like to stress that you don't have to be 12 years old or 15 years old to start to take music seriously. This, to me, it happened in an older age. I began playing upright bass at the age of 21.
Wow.
I was just practicing 10 hours a day for many, many years. So I don't know if I exactly answered your question.
No, but this is it's the opportunities have been formed from
exactly
people knowing that you were serious about your work, and that's a really important thing that we all have to kind of remind one another, is that it's not a matter of being the best musician in the room. It's being the best musician that people want to work with.
For sure.
And there's a very, very there's a big distinction there. Showing up late, not being prepared, not bringing like a really good energy to what you do. It's really hard. You wouldn't want to work with artists like that. You wouldn't want to work with musicians like that. You want to work with people that are open and contributing and bring a great energy. And that actually brings me to a really interesting question for everybody here. And we'll start with you, Anastasia. Here you are, well into your career now. Looking back a few years to your younger self who had just decided that they wanted to be a musician, what's one thing that you would have recommended, or one piece of wisdom you would have given to your younger self, or one piece of encouragement that you would have given to your younger self if you could go back and have that conversation?
Yes. First of all, there are so many things that I would like to say. This is hard, but
it's a hard one, right? Yeah. But what's the one that kind of like comes up to the top of the list?
It's just a phrase. anything easy is not worth it, and what is worth it, it won't come easy. That's what I would say.
That's awesome. We should print that on T-shirts. That's a great lick. That is actually a really great lick. I like that. Thank you. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah, Kostas Milonas. You're talking to your younger self, and you want to give yourself some wisdom. What is it that you would like to share?
For us, for drummers, especially here in Greece and everywhere, actually, as I told you before, for some reason, we don't want to, be able to do theory and harmony. For me, the thing that I was, I would say to myself is to start doing theory and harmony lessons younger than 15 years old that I started doing this. This is the only thing, yeah.
So start really learning those fundamentals of music as early as you can.
Yeah.
It's gonna pay off in the long run.
Yep, and it's easier, to dig more and more and create your.
It gives you that musical independence, right?
For sure, you think differently.
Yeah.
You play like a musician. You know how it works. Everything that you should know to be a musician, and because drums is a music instrument, you can play. There is a lot of dynamics. You have many chances to show what you got, but you have to know harmony and theory to play with other musicians and go further than just a good drummer with good chops and a good time. This is not only it. You have to do many different things.
And those things can't be understated. I mean, being an excellent drummer, knowing grooves and styles and being able to play time is critically important, but you have to have that expanded vocabulary. I think,
Yep.
As you think of all the drummers that you love, there's probably lots of drummers that when you think of them, they are more than just a drummer. They are musicians. They have that completeness to them that makes them really special. So that's a great thing to remind other musicians. Vasilis, go ahead, Kostas.
Excuse me, one more thing. The
Yeah.
same thing, it has, for guitar players, for vocals, singers and the bassists, they should know all about rhythm. This is the same thing. You have to know about rhythm. We have to know about harmony. We have to communicate. This is the most important thing. Yeah.
That's actually great too. Yeah. So we'll add that to the list. For all of us who are not rhythmic players, naturally we are rhythmic players because it's part of what we do.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Vasilis, you're talking to your younger self and you're passing on some wisdom. What is it that you'd like to share?
What I would say to my younger self, or to actually younger musicians in the audience maybe, that anything that you can dream of and wherever you want to reach in your life and in your career, you can do it with commitment and very hard work. And it's very emotional to be here today, because when I went to Boston, I met Kostas Milonas, who helped me so much, even to find a room to stay, even with courses at Berklee. And I saw how much Kostas, for example, was working to make this happen. The fact that we study at Philippos Nakas and then we go to Berklee doesn't guarantee anything. When you arrive in Boston, then the journey starts. And I've seen Kostas, I've seen Anastasia, and I know for Kostas Konstantinou is the same journey. So I would say that we don't have any limits. We don't need to set any limits for ourselves. And we can do anything we want. If I could change anything to my younger self as an advice, would be before going to Boston, I would meet in person more master musicians that we have in Greece.
Ah,
in, in traditional music, in jazz music, because I revisited and rediscovered my tradition at Berkeley in Boston. Then I started, even if I grew up in a family with crazy influences from Greek traditional music, heavy Epiros stuff. Uh, I revisited my tradition at Berkeley and I realized how many master musicians we have in Greece and how much we can learn from them. So I would I would visit more mentors, more legendary figures in Greece before coming to Berkeley. For me, it happened the opposite.
well,
During my studies or after, we did it in another way.
but maybe that's a journey that's familiar to lots of people. Is we're
Yeah,
always looking someplace else, and
exactly.
then realizing that we have so much of it at home, and that's maybe what the Ipetus project is about as well, right? It's really a bigger part of the concept of what you're trying to bring. And I know, is there a website for that specifically as well?
The, the Epiros Ensemble program, you
Yes.
mean?
Yeah. Is there another website for that music?
I can send the link
Yeah, we can
for it.
throw it in the chat, and we'll add it to the YouTube page as well when we publish this, because it's something for people to dig into more. Yeah.
One thing is to explore our traditions and our musical roots, and for me, the future is to build the concrete and permanent music educational programs where you can spread the information in a very systematic way, as much as we can.
Wonderful. Kostas Konstantinou, you're talking to your younger self, and
Mhm.
you know, what is it that you want to remind yourself to focus on, and to remember?
Probably stay focused, love music, the sky's the limit, transcribe more music, and practice as hard as you can. This is what I would say to myself. Not
Yeah.
that I haven't, but you can do anything just as long as you're serious and practice, and you really love what you do, and you feel bad when you don't practice, and I don't know, when you stay up late. Next day you don't sleep so much. You get up early, pick up your instrument, and try to be better than you were the day before.
I like that. That's the one I'll take. Try to be better than you were the day before. That's another T-shirt. We'll add that one to the list. This is great. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to actually let's open this up. We really want to get you involved, and you know what I'd like to do is anybody that's here that would like to ask a question of our artists. You have a question about Nakas in the program at Nakas, or you have a question about about Berklee, the credit transfer program. You know, now's the time to let me see. Okay, here we go. I'm trying to remove the spotlight here and bring everybody into the gallery. There we go. Um, you can raise your little Simpsons looking Zoom hand. You could type your question into the chat. What thoughts and questions do you have for Anastasia, for Vasilis, for Kostas and Kostas, or even for Thanasis or Amanda or myself? What would you like to know? I also see Angeliki's here. We have some other professors from the conservatory as well. But feel free to add them to the chat, or you can raise your hand and ask a question. So Angelos is asking a question about the credit transfer agreement. Do you have a specific question for us? What would you like to know? You can turn on your microphone too and ask as well if that's easier. And you can ask it in Greek as well. We're more than happy to take questions in Greek as well as English. And we can give responses in Greek also. Do you want to turn on your mic? Go for it. We'd love to hear from you. I see you're unmuted. Go for it. You can ask your question. Nope. There we are.
Can you hear me?
We
No?
can. Go for it. Please ask your question.
Great. I'm not in any specific program here in Nakas, but I have many. I've done many things over the years. Classical harmony. But this year I'm gonna finish jazz harmony as well. And I don't know if I can transfer them without being in a program.
That's a great question. So Berkeley has a network of Berkeley Global Academic Partners, and the Philippos Nakas Conservatory is a founding member of this organization. There's 24 of these organizations in the world. And so we were able to, you can transfer liberal arts classes from any accredited institution in the world. These are language, science, math. Those will transfer to Berkeley. But music classes may only be transferred from one of these partner schools. So what I would recommend is maybe connecting with Thanasis here and having a meeting with him to see, would you qualify? Would you be able to become a student at the Nakas Conservatory? Is that program a good pathway for you? The other option is, applying to Berkeley directly. And when you arrive in Boston, and I know you probably have to do this at the Nakas Conservatory Thanasis as well, but you have to do what's called a placement test. And that test will allow you to showcase your knowledge. And you might be able to advance yourself just on the test alone. The cool thing about the credit transfer agreement with Nakas is when you complete the program and you get accepted to Berkeley, you're awarded the credit. It's part of our partnership. So what I'd recommend is connect with Thanasis, maybe have a conversation with him and see what might be possible. And then I'm more than happy to follow up with you after the session, and we can also talk. And I'll actually drop my email address here in the chat in case you want to grab it, and we can follow up. And I can answer questions about, and I can also refer you to our colleagues in the admissions office at Berkeley, and they can dig into this more with you. But great question. You've got a couple of options, and it's just a matter of exploring what might be the right path for you based on where you are right now. How's that sound?
Great, thanks.
Cool. So we've got another question. I've heard that there are some summer programs, and I'm wondering if there are any scholarships for these programs. At Berkeley, we do have a series of summer programs that start usually in June, and they go all the way through August. And Amanda, could we throw that? You got it. Perfect. So there's the summer programs link, and they run from short programs that are 3 to 5 days long all the way to the 5-week Aspire program. And so that program, the 5-week Aspire program, is the one that when you fill out your application online, you can upload videos and other material that showcases what you do, and you may be awarded a scholarship to attend the Aspire program or 2 special tracks in that program. One of those tracks is the Summer Rock Workshop, which is a special track for rock musicians. And another one is called the Summer Jazz Workshop that Terry Lynn Carrington runs. And that's for, students who are really high level younger jazz musicians. Also, I think in Vasilis, I don't know if you did this, did you teach at the program down at the Newport Jazz Festival?
No.
You didn't, okay.
But
I know the Global Jazz
students teach there.
Yeah, so the Global Jazz Institute does run a program down at the Newport Jazz Festival, which is an iconic jazz festival here in the United States. It's actually, I think George Wein started it. It may be the oldest jazz festival in the United States. And the Global Jazz Institute, which Vasilis is a graduate of the master's program, they teach that program. So students that get accepted to that program, there's a scholarship for it as well. So you've got a few options to check out. There's a question about, can I do a master's in music if I don't have a bachelor's in music? And the answer to that is the master's programs that Berkeley offers require that all of the participants have completed an undergraduate degree. So you will have to have the equivalent of an undergraduate degree because our graduate programs are accredited. And so you need to have an accredited undergraduate degree in order to be eligible for those programs. That being said, I'll tell you this. The Nakas program and the Berklee program, if you check them out, even at the undergraduate level, are incredibly high level, globally speaking. So they're challenging. You will get pushed and you will learn a lot. And I think you'll be surprised compared to other institutions around the world, even at the undergraduate level. I know that when I came to Boston, having done an undergraduate degree, I was blown away by the level of the undergraduate program at Berklee. It was stronger than most master's programs in the United States. So, oh yeah, thanks Amanda for that note about the Valencia program. Oh, thank you for the clarification as well. Do you have to have an undergraduate degree in music? And I think Amanda's note helps, but there are some programs that, like in Valencia, we have a master's in music business, and some other areas that you may or may not need an undergraduate degree in music to qualify for that. Also for Berklee Online, we have master's degrees through Berklee Online, and you may not need to have a master's degree in music to get accepted to that program. It could be just based on your talent, your ability, your professional experience that aligns with that program. Christy asked a question about the collaboration with Valencia. And this is an interesting question. We have a new program in Valencia called First Year Abroad. And we also have a study abroad program in Valencia. So it's something, Christy, worth exploring to see, does your educational track get you to a Valencia experience, and why would you want to go to Valencia? How does it fit into the program that you're trying to design or the experience that you're trying to create? Right now, the credit transfer agreement is between Athens and Thessaloniki and the programs that Nakas has in Boston. But we do collaborations. We have Valencia faculty go to the Nakas campus to teach. We have professors from Nakas go and teach in Valencia. They also teach at our Abu Dhabi center. So there are exchanges that are happening. It just depends on the experience that you're trying to create. So also a great question. Everybody's typing their questions. Anybody want to get on the mic and ask a question before we break? We're at the top of the hour. We could probably take one more question if you have a question for any of our artists. Oh. All right, so there's another question in the chat that Amanda put in that I missed. If one is accepted, can they transfer credits even though they haven't completed the Nakas degree? The recommendation I have is please take a look at the credit transfer agreement here at this link, Marianti, and that page will tell you what you need to do, and then you can speak with an advisor at Nakas. Thanasis is the expert, and Kostas Konstantinou. They can talk to you about their program and help you make the right plan for your academic experience. It's really about the goal. Where do you want to be? And getting the right teachers in the right classes so that you can take advantage of the partnership that we have. And Despunia, I hope I pronounced your correctly. But Despina, please turn on your mic and ask your question.
Hi.
Greetings.
Can you hear me?
We hear you excellent.
Okay, so I'm a singer, and I'm here at Nakas doing all the theoretical part because I'm in like grade 7 in singing, but I'm very low in theory. And I have a bachelor, as I said, but not in music. And I don't want to spend 4 or 5 more years for another bachelor. And I'm thinking, if I do all the theoretical parts here in, let's say, 2 years, can I go straight for a master? And can I find a master that combines singing and acting, because I like both of these?
That is a great question. So, putting aside studying in school, tell us about what you want to do in your career. What's your career goal? Where do you see yourself as a professional? What would you like to be doing?
Um, I see myself as a performer. My main skill is singing, but I also want to exercise acting too, but mostly singing. But I want to cover everything the performance thing has. I mean, I like dancing, singing, acting.
Okay.
I want to do all of this.
And so, is it sort of like a musical theater thing, or are you looking to be like a performing artist who is writing your own music, performing, dancing? It sounds,
Yes,
yeah.
both, because I also write my own songs, so I'm a songwriter too. And so I want to do both. It doesn't mean that they have to be connected. I mean, I don't really like musical theater. I don't have a problem trying it. I mean, it will be interesting, but I can see these two as separate.
I understand. And are there any artists that you really see as being your, your inspiration? Who are the artists that you love that you want to be like?
Christina Aguilera,
Got it.
Nice.
and
Cool.
she has also played in a musical, so I see myself doing that.
Okay.
Mariah too, Beyonce too, but
Yeah.
they are singers. They're not actors.
Well, what I'm going to do is I want to turn this over to our guests here, Anastasia, Kostas, and Vasilis. As you're listening to this young artist, what would you recommend? What would you say to a person like this that's trying to figure out their way forward? What would you recommend that they do? As a next step. Anybody want to jump in?
May I?
Please.
Practice hard, get a big scholarship, and then go to Boston, get a job there. If you are lucky and play some instrument, there were, back in the 90s, there were some Greek clubs that you can play this kind of music. And I don't know, you just go and you figure it out as you go along, because I'm not rich and I just went, I thought I was going to be there for a year. And then I stayed for another year, and then for one more year, and then I graduate. So I don't know, if you like something and you have maybe you get lucky, you get some gigs, you get some job, but you will figure it out. And it's always best, I think, to try something and maybe fail instead of not trying at all. So that's my...
Anastasia, you as a vocalist and a songwriter who's gone all the way to living and working in Los Angeles, what would you recommend?
Yes. So I also love Christina Aguilera, and I auditioned with Christina Aguilera at Berklee. Not at Berklee, at Philippos Nakas. So what I would say is, even if you don't get a scholarship at Philippos Nakas, just don't give up. You can get a scholarship while you're at Berklee. That's something I just want to say to everybody that is here, because that's what happened to me. I don't know if that's also, if you still have the achievement scholarship though, because that was maybe while I was there.
We
I
do,
don't know
and there are other scholarships as well now.
Okay. Yeah.
But as based on where she is, because she wants to get into so many different facets of being an entertainer.
Yes.
What is it? How do you handle this? Because that's a lot of ground.
It's
to
a lot
work
of
on.
things. Yes. I think she just has to decide what she wants to do and focus on that. She cannot do all these things at the same time. It won't happen. It's like you want to be a singer, but you want to be a drummer. It's not going to happen. So I think that's what I would say. If you want to focus on musical theater, just focus on that. If you want to be a singer and also a songwriter, you can do what I just did, voice performance and songwriting, or you can do voice performance and drama as a minor if you want to practice your acting skills. There are many options, and I think when you go there at Berklee, then you're just gonna realize, oh, that's what I want to do, because you're gonna go to shows, you're gonna see so many things, and it's gonna be more clear the idea that what you want to do, I guess.
Yeah, I would say, go to Nakas and check out their programs, and then if you can, come to a short program in Boston. We have a 1-week songwriting program. We have a 1-week vocal summit as well. There's also summer programs at our campus in Valencia, Spain. Amanda and I are in the process of building our 2-week-long program that we do at the Umbria Jazz Festival in Perugia, Italy. So you could come to Italy and hang out with us for 2 weeks. That's going to happen in July. I think the one thing that in all of the professors, artists here will know, they'll remember our dean of our performance division at Berklee is Ron Savage.
Yeah.
And Ron is an incredible drummer and educator. And the one thing that Ron always talks about is just have the experience of being with these new artists and teachers. And as Kostas said, and as Anastasia said, that experience will begin to kind of like help you focus what it is that you want to do. I think it's a matter of just making that next step. Might be the recommendation that I'm hearing is figure out, do you want to focus on voice? Do you want to focus on songwriting? Do you want to focus on drama or dance? Move in one of those directions first, and that'll help you decide, is it the right step for you right now, or is there a different direction you want to go? Because what you're trying to do is huge. It's amazing. It's very inspiring to hear, and it's a matter of like focusing on that next step. Amanda, what do you think? We have time for one more question. Which one should we go to here?
We have a few, but there was one specifically for the artists that I thought would be nice to have them address, and we can do some follow-up afterwards. I'll put some links for the other questions.
Great.
But specifically to the artists, how can somebody from Greece afford Berklee and life in Boston? Can you suggest any ways based on personal experience, which I think is a very relevant question for most students these days, and it would be great to get everyone's perspective here.
Yeah, so anybody want to jump in there about your recent experience living in Boston and how you could put it together? How do you make it happen so that you can be successful with your studies and progress?
May I?
Please, go ahead.
No, Vasilis, do it. I can talk later. Vasilis, be my guest.
You can answer because you were studying at Berklee before me. I will answer after you.
Okay. The first thing is that you have to do all of your homework to be on time, to do all the assignments that you have to do to be a good student, and keep your scholarship if you have a scholarship. Then you have to meet new people. You can meet people from all around the world that you can play with. You can make a band. You can do some gigs, as Kostas said. If you are Greek, you can do a Greek gig. You can do a cover band. You can do whatever you want to make a living. But you have to stay focused at school. And then, besides school, you can have a plan, let's say, to see what can you do after that. You're staying in Boston, you're moving to New York, to Nashville or Los Angeles. Depends the style or the genre that you want to follow, or you want to try to see if it works for you, And I think every student that goes to Berklee has the same dream to make a living from music, for sure to meet people or to move to another country. But I think if you want to make it, you're going to make it. If you're poor, it's okay. If you have the financials, the financial support from your family, that's okay too. But for sure, you're going to make it happen if you trust yourself and dream big, and you can do it. That's my advice.
Thank you so much. Vasilis, what are your thoughts on how do you put it together? How do you make sure you have a place to live and you can kind of connect into the network?
Had the same question like Maria before going to Berkeley. Exactly the same question. How is it possible to make it there? Especially if you come from a family that cannot support you every month. They can't send like a specific amount. You know, every Greek student and all students at Berkeley, we were in a different position, different situation. But I agree with Anastasia, Kostas Konstantinou, and Kostas Milonas. You have, first of all, you have to reach Boston. You have to go there, and then you will figure it out. Then, as Kostas Milonas said, you have to stay focused in your courses. You have to be excellent at Berkeley. And then I would add into this that you can think creatively. For example, approaching communities, Greek communities in Massachusetts, and explain your situation, say who you are, that you are basically an ambassador of Greek music in the US, and that you would like to get some support. You never know whom you are going to meet and how they're going to help you. Church is another thing, for example. I got some help from the Greek Orthodox Church in Boston that I never imagined. We did some concerts there. I got a scholarship from them. I paid a little bit from the second year of my studies. I started teaching a little bit. I had private students at some point, and everything, a little bit of everything helped me to make it happen. But I would recommend to anyone here not to get discouraged, because you have to reach Boston first. You have to land, and then you will figure it out. I'm very optimistic.
Yeah, I
Can
appreciate that. Kostas, go ahead.
can I add something really quickly? There is also, if you practice and you get good grades and you play in a lot of concerts at Berklee, there is also financial aid, and there is also the awards, the Outstanding Performer Award, which was money to me. It was good. So go there, and you'll kind of, maybe you struggle a little bit, but you will figure it out.
Yeah, this is an interesting thing. So, just practically speaking, one of the reasons why we wanted to do this session, so you can hear from these artists in the work that they did to get to where they are. There's a really, the agreement that we have between Berklee and Nakas is a huge help. The Nakas program will prepare you to be an excellent student so that you can have amazing musical experiences. You can be prepared to engage this community, not only at Berklee, but also when you go on in your career. In doing so, it's going to better your chances to get accepted to Berklee, to qualify for a scholarship as an entering student, which many of the Nakas students are when they start at Berklee. And also, there's a special grant that I think, Anastasia, you might have mentioned, or somebody mentioned earlier. It's an augmentation grant. It's a special award you get when you come from a Berklee Global Academic Partner. And Thanasis can share more details about that. If you're a student at Nakas, you can talk more about how they nominate people for these awards. If you get accepted to Berklee and you receive a scholarship, you could qualify for this additional grant. There are also awards outside of Berklee and Nakas from other organizations, and you can potentially leverage your acceptance to Berklee and your scholarship to maybe get some of those awards. Networking with other Greek students or other students to help find a place to live so that it can make your landing here in Boston smoother. Vasilis, you leaned on Kostas Milonas. He helped you kind of make that landing in Boston easier and get connected to the community. And then you become, that older student that helps the younger students, and it becomes a network, a pipeline, a community where you help one another, not only as Nakas students, as Berklee students, but this is what the music industry is. We're all helping one another. So it's really helping you to build that community to make it possible. So I'm going to leave you with those words because I know we're well past the top of the hour. It's evening there. It's getting to be close to dinner time, I think, right? In Greece. I know.
Souvlaki.
Yes, of course. But ladies and gentlemen, first of all, a huge, warm round of applause for Anastasia, for Kostas, and Vasilis, for Thanasis, and Alina at the Nakas Conservatory for helping put this together. We miss you. We really want to be there with you in person. We hope to see you very, very soon. To all of our friends, the teachers at Nakas that are here joining us still, we really appreciate you being here. Please, we'll get the link up online, and we will share this out so that folks can go back and check this out later. And again, I'll throw my email back into the chat here. If you have any questions about Berklee, I'm here. My colleagues are here. Amanda's here, and we want to see you succeed. Please stay healthy, stay safe, keep creating great music, and stay connected. Okay. We'll see all of you soon. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you.
That's us.
Yes, sir.
Bye.